We all face moments in life when holding on to something, an idea, a person, a dream, becomes more painful than freeing. Yet paradoxically, the hardest thing to do is to let go, to detach, to relinquish control over something deeply cherished. This lecture is about that art, the discipline and courage required to detach, not as a form of abandonment, but as a path to freedom, clarity, and ultimate mastery of the self. Detachment isn't about coldness or indifference. It is the recognition that we cannot control everything, that life's currents sometimes demand we loosen our grip or else be dragged under. And by learning to let go, you don't weaken your life, you strengthen it. You find peace amid chaos and power amid uncertainty. Let's begin with a distinction, because most people confuse detachment with emotional numbness. They think being detached means not caring. That's a lie, a dangerous one. Detachment is not the absence of emotion, it's the mastery of it. It's the conscious choice to feel deeply, but to remain sovereign, to stand in the full storm of emotion and not be controlled by it. In other words, detachment isn't disconnection, it's dominion. Let's go back 2,000 years to the Stoics. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and philosopher, wrote in his Meditations, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." He wasn't suggesting you turn off your feelings. He was saying that you must stop outsourcing your emotional state to things you cannot command, other people's opinions, the rise and fall of fortune, the chaos of circumstance. The Stoics believed virtue was the only true good, and that meant cultivating wisdom, courage, justice, and self-discipline regardless of what life threw at you. Now compare that with modern psychology. Psychologists now describe something called emotional fusion, where your sense of self becomes fused with another person, with a job, with a belief. When that thing is threatened, your entire identity destabilizes. You're no longer making rational decisions, you're reacting to fear. Detachment, then, is the psychological skill of separating your identity and inner peace from external variables. It's what allows you to say, "I love you, but I won't beg for you. I failed at this task, but that doesn't mean I'm a failure. My circumstances are painful, but I am still grounded." The man who is detached isn't numb, he is free. And freedom, not comfort, is the ultimate sign of maturity. So detachment is not about pulling away from life. It's about standing firmly within it without being moved by every wave that crashes against you. To truly understand detachment, we must venture into the biology of the brain. You are not just battling philosophies, you are up against hardwired evolutionary programming. Your brain was built to attach, for survival, for safety, for reproduction. Oxytocin, the bonding hormone, floods your system during moments of intimacy, when you hug someone, when you fall in love, even during eye contact and conversation. It creates a feeling of closeness and trust. Dopamine, the reward chemical, is released when you chase a goal, attention, achievement, pleasure. The more you get, the more you want. It's addictive. This served a purpose 50,000 years ago, when tribes, food, and alliances were essential to survival. But in the modern world, these same chemicals enslave you to patterns of emotional dependence. You become addicted to validation, addicted to certainty, addicted to people who reflect back the parts of you you haven't integrated. And so when those people leave, when the job ends, when the outcome fails, your brain interprets it as a threat to your survival. This triggers a cascade of panic. The amygdala, your fear center, lights up like a firestorm. You start spiraling. You think, "I'll never recover," even when logically, you know that isn't true. What's the solution? Rewiring. You need to train your prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for executive function, impulse control, and long-term thinking, to override your primal panic. This is why meditation, breathwork, and cognitive behavioral therapy are so powerful. They allow you to create space between stimulus and response. Instead of acting on impulse, you learn to observe. This craving is not reality. This anxiety is a chemical response, not a sign of truth. I can feel this pain, but I do not have to obey it. Detachment, biologically speaking, is a neurological upgrade. It is the skill of sitting with discomfort without becoming it. The ability to face loss without falling apart. Your brain will fight you on this at first. But over time, you will build a system of emotional immunity, not so that you feel nothing, but so that you feel everything and remain whole. Now we turn to the heart of the matter. Letting go feels like weakness. It looks like surrender. It feels like defeat. But that is an illusion, a trick of the ego. Because true detachment, the real kind, forged in fire, is an act of raw, unfiltered strength. It takes no courage to cling. Clinging is reactive. It's the mind saying, I don't trust myself to survive without this. That's not love. That's fear wearing the mask of devotion. Letting go means facing the terrifying reality that life doesn't owe you anything, that you are not in control of what stays or goes, that everything you love can be taken from you, and probably will be, eventually. This is not cynicism. This is the brutal honesty required for transformation. And yet, in this brutal clarity, there is beauty. Because once you let go, once you release your white-knuckled grip on people, identities, dreams that no longer serve you, you begin to discover a deeper kind of power. You begin to say, I am not what I lost. I am not what I failed to achieve. I am the one who survived the losing. This is where you grow a spine. This is where you become dangerous in the best possible way, because now your peace is not negotiable. Your worth is not based on outcomes. Your presence is rooted in principle, not approval. The man who can let go is the man who cannot be broken, because there's nothing left to threaten. He doesn't need the world to cooperate with his plans. He cooperates with reality. He is adaptable. He is clear. He is unstoppable. Here is where the principle of detachment reveals its most powerful paradox. Letting go of your partner emotionally can actually deepen the relationship. Now, this sounds like nonsense to the average person raised on Hollywood romance and pop psychology. We've been taught that love is about total enmeshment, about giving your all, about becoming one. But that's codependency, not love. Healthy love requires individuality. And individuality requires detachment. Here's the harsh reality. The moment you start relying on your partner to fix your insecurities, validate your existence, or rescue you from your past, you are no longer in relationship. You are in a dependency dynamic. This creates pressure, neediness, control. It breeds resentment and burns out attraction. The man who is always available, always texting, always reassuring, always molding himself to keep the woman around, becomes emotionally emasculated. He loses polarity. He stops leading and starts orbiting. Detachment reverses that dynamic. It allows you to maintain your own sense of identity. Show up as a partner, not a project. Speak your truth without fear of abandonment. Lead with principle, not people-pleasing. When you stop needing your partner to fill your holes, you start filling your own cup. And from that fullness, you bring value to the relationship. And here's the twist. This makes you more attractive. Detachment triggers polarity. Polarity creates mystery. Mystery fuels desire. So stop clinging. Step back. Let her come to you. Let her feel the vacuum of your strength. And if she doesn't return, you've still won. Because you return to yourself. Here's a nuance that most people miss. Detachment is not the same as withdrawal. It's easy to hear this message and say, fine, I'll just stop caring. I'll close myself off. I'll never be vulnerable again. That's not strength. That's avoidance. True detachment is not about shutting down. It's about showing up fully while remaining unshaken. Think of a warrior in battle. He is engaged, fully present, alert, responsive. But he is also detached from the chaos. He doesn't flinch. He doesn't panic. He doesn't emotionally invest in every blow. He fights with clarity. That's your model. When you detach, you don't abandon your responsibilities. You don't ghost people or become cold. You create space. You set boundaries. You stay open but rooted. In relationships, This means you listen without trying to fix. You love without controlling. You walk away when necessary, not out of anger, but out of self-respect. In life, it means you pursue your vision with intensity, but without making success your savior. It means holding everything, relationships, ambitions, dreams, with open hands. Because here's the truth, the tighter you squeeze, the faster things slip away. When you detach, you're not saying, I don't care. You're saying, I care deeply, but not at the expense of myself. That's a rare kind of power. So how do you build this? Detachment isn't a switch you flip. It's a skill you train. A mental discipline forged through repetition and reflection. Here's how to begin. 1. Daily awareness practice. Start each day by asking, where am I clinging today? What outcome, person, or image of myself am I afraid to lose? Journal it. Own it. Bring it to light, because you can't detach from what you haven't first named. 2. Deliberate discomfort. Do one thing each week that makes you sit in uncertainty or rejection. Go out without your phone. Take a cold shower. Set a boundary that risks disapproval. Why? Because discomfort is the gym where detachment gets stronger. 3. Identity work. Write down a list of roles you cling to. I'm successful. I'm needed. I'm a good boyfriend. Then ask, who am I if this is taken away? Strip down to your core values. This is how you find your true center. 4. Meditation and breath training. Every time you sit still and watch your thoughts, you are detaching from them. You are training the observer mind, the part of you that isn't entangled in drama. This builds space between feeling and reaction. 5. Reframe loss as liberation. When something is taken from you, ask, what is this making space for? You didn't lose. You were freed. Let's get brutally honest for a moment. You've probably worked hard for something, whether it was a relationship, a job, creative pursuit, only to watch it fall apart. Despite your effort, the result didn't come. Or worse, it came and still didn't satisfy you. That sinking feeling? That's the pain of attachment to outcome. The world taught you that if you just do the right things, then life will reward you. But life doesn't work like a vending machine. You don't insert virtue and automatically receive success. You might do everything right and still lose. Still fail. Still be misunderstood. And here's the hard truth. You are not entitled to outcomes. This is not a defeatist message. It's the most liberating truth you can internalize. When you become attached to outcomes, you set yourself up for constant anxiety and self-doubt. Your peace becomes tethered to things you can't control, whether she texts you back, whether the algorithm favors your video, whether the world claps for your effort. And when you don't get what you expected, it can crush you, not because the result mattered so much, but because you needed it to validate your worth. This is slavery to outcomes. Freedom begins when you detach from that dependency. You shift your focus to process over results, to principle over praise, to effort over ego. This is what separates the master from the novice. The master works, refines, and sharpens his craft not because the world is watching, but because it's who he is. You don't control whether the world gives you what you want, but you do control whether you face that uncertainty with strength or weakness. So what should you focus on? Focus on your intentions, not their interpretations. Focus on your character, not applause. Focus on doing the right thing, even if nobody notices. You become dangerous, powerful, when you no longer need to win to feel worthy. That's detachment. That's freedom. You cannot talk about detachment without talking about suffering. Because here's the raw, uncomfortable truth. You will not truly detach until it hurts. Comfort is the enemy of transformation. And suffering is the scalpel that cuts away illusions. Let's be real. You don't let go of what you love until life rips it from you. You don't detach from the need for control until you've lost control and hit rock bottom. You don't stop clinging to people, outcomes, or identities until they've disappointed you badly. And when you're there, alone in the wreckage, that's when the work begins. There's a quote often attributed to Carl Jung, "Only the wounded physician heals." Why? Because the person who has suffered, the one who has been burned by attachment and forced to let go, becomes capable of depth, compassion, and wisdom. Pain wakes you up. It shows you what's real. Suffering destroys shallow attachments. It forces you to ask deeper questions. Who am I without this job? What's left if this person leaves? What endures when everything else falls apart? And that's where detachment begins, not as a theory, but as survival. It becomes your only path forward. But here's the miracle in it all. Suffering doesn't just strip you, it refines you. It reveals your hidden strength. It teaches you humility, patience, and endurance. It forces you to build your life on something deeper than fleeting comfort. Think about a man who's gone through heartbreak, not once, but deeply. The kind of heartbreak that leaves you speechless in a parking lot at 2 a.m. If that man faces the pain, sits with it, learns from it, he becomes different. He's not just stronger. He's wiser, less reactive, more grounded. He knows what he can survive. He knows what actually matters. He no longer fears loss because he's met it and didn't collapse. This man is free. So if you're suffering, don't rush to escape it. Don't try to distract yourself or numb the feeling. Sit in it. Learn from it. Let it hollow you out so it can fill you with something real. Detachment is not found in comfort, is forged in the fire of loss. And those who survive the fire emerge with the ability to stand tall, alone, whole, and unstoppable. We live in a culture addicted to dopamine and distraction. We chase likes, followers, promotions, praise, more stuff, more sex, more validation, believing that if we just get enough, then we'll finally feel complete. But you already know this is a lie. You've had the thing you wanted before. You've tasted the praise. You've gotten the girl, landed the gig, bought the thing. And what happened? The high faded. The craving returned. Why? Because you were pursuing outcomes, not meaning. Here's the brutal fact. A life built on attachment is a life built on sand. What endures? Purpose, principle, legacy. Detachment is not retreat, it's redirection. When you detach from a noise, you finally hear what your soul has been whispering all along. There is something you are meant to do. Something only you can build. Something that will outlive you. This is where meaning comes from. From living a life aligned with values, not moods. From doing hard things, even when no one is clapping. From choosing discipline over dopamine. Detachment clears the fog. It removes the false gods you've worshipped, status, pleasure, popularity, and reveals what's eternal. You begin to ask real questions. What kind of man do I want to become? What impact do I want to leave behind? What do I want my suffering to mean? That is a life with spine. And here's the secret. Once you orient yourself toward meaning, detachment becomes effortless. Because you no longer need to grasp at shallow things. You're too busy building something sacred. Let's land the plane. The art of letting go isn't just a psychological technique, it's a way of being. To detach is to live with presence, is to love deeply without gripping, to dream boldly without desperation, to walk into the unknown with courage in your chest and fire in your gut. The world will not reward you for clinging, but will respect the man who stands alone, who can say, I lost her and I'm still standing. I failed and I still showed up. I don't control the outcome, but I control who I am. Detachment isn't the end of caring. It's the beginning of real strength. It's the moment you stop begging life to give you what you want and start becoming someone life can't ignore. So let go. Let go of the outcome. Let go of the identity that no longer fits. Let go of the fear that's been whispering lies in your ear. Stand up straight. Face life with open hands and clear eyes. Because when you stop gripping so tightly to what you think you need, life finally has room to give you what you're really meant for. And that's power. That's freedom. That's detachment. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification button for more videos like this.